What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm BDLM, coming with my buddy J4Y, bringing you episode number 66 of our Dota on a Man podcast. Before I say hello, I would like to say that we're 2 days late from our weekly thing. We had been doing pretty good with the Tuesdays. Tonight is a Thursday night, but we have some awesome stuff going on. We've been working on trying to get some video stuff going on the side, so just a little hint of that. But we also are joined this evening by our great friend who's been away from the cast for too long, Bonk. How's it going, man?
Hey, what's up?
How you doing? And of course J4Y, I guess he's here too.
Nah, he's not important though. I mean,
He's, you know,
it's not like he's on the show every week.
he's old news. He's here all the time.
That's right.
He's tired. He's out.
We got the new model in. And now
yes, the updated model.
throw the Model T out the window. It's gone. Bonk has a really nice headset now too. He sounds like really crystal clear, and the only thing wrong now is just his background. So if you could just tidy up his surroundings.
Welcome to the basement. Last time
Hey, I'm in the basement too.
Last time I was on, I was not here.
It's true.
That is true. Actually, I don't remember if you had a camera the last time you were on. And for anybody who's like, oh really? Okay. And for anybody who doesn't remember Bonk, because it's been a while since he's been on, I think the first time he was on, not only was he sick, he also just had a picture of Ben Stein to stand in for his non-existent webcam.
Yep. Red eyes.
Production value has dramatically increased since the episode about Invoker. But I got, you know what? Well, let's catch up with you, man. 'Cause like I said, it's been a while since you've been on. There have been some nice changes to Invoker and to the Meepo. Have you gotten to play with either of those heroes?
I actually haven't played with Meepo since the level 4 ultimate change, just because it also nerfed his stat share. I don't know. Like, from what I heard, it was actually like a nerf almost. Some people from what I've heard, people say he's worse now. But I mean, it increases potential. I feel like a lot because you can get more experience faster and all that stuff. I don't know. You can probably get targeted more early now.
Yeah, that's true. What are your thoughts about the Invoker being able to suck out the mana with the EMPs? Thoughts?
It makes Wex definitely way stronger. Way stronger. Because, I mean, one of Invoker's biggest problems is his mana pool. Because, I think EMP's 200 mana, and, everything's at least 100. And if you're not going Exort, you're not getting the extra intelligence, so he's not going to have any mana. But now that EMP, you can just get free mana, it's good to go.
Yeah,
I've only
cool
played
too.
him once, I think. I'm playing a lot of Earth Spirit.
Lots of the Earth Spirit. Don't worry, you'll get to talk about that. I think it's cool too, like you were saying, that the Wex gets stronger, because typically you either figure Invoker's Quas and then Wex, or the Exort, so it's nice to have that extra little, get to jazz up the Wex.
He gets the extra mana back, but he's also more mana hungry at an earlier point in the game because he gets the 2 invokes off the bat, so you're kind of going through spells much faster than you were previously, I feel like. So maybe I've seen bottles come out now from middle invokers, and that was not unheard of, but that was definitely not nearly as common as it seems to be going now. But honestly, I feel like I'm still seeing a lot more Exort invokers in pubs than I'm seeing Wex ones, just because I guess of the gank potential. And I mean, they're all going auto attack too. It seems like a lot of them are going auto attack builds, like MKBs and all sorts of craziness that I'm not even sure what's happening anymore with them.
Hand of Midas.
Oh yeah,
Daedalus. Done.
Hand of Midas has been, well, since that's increased across the board for everyone, and now especially Invokers Exort Invokers got that all the time, so that doesn't surprise me to say the least.
Yeah, there's been a ton of auto attack Invokers. I don't like it. I think his whole point is control and his ultimate, and if you're focusing on auto attacking, then you're not really doing what you're there for. I mean, Invoker's like a control hero.
Yeah, I agree. And you could build such great items to try and compensate, like you guys are saying, with how expensive he is. But obviously, you're not going to be able to get a sheep stick or anything super early into the game to help you compensate. But building up those stats for later on, oh man, why? I mean, I guess it's more fun to just pew auto attack for some people, but you can pick up some really sick items that I feel like would be really nice.
Yeah, you're just not using his full kit to his potential. I mean, it's just a different way of playing the hero, and I definitely agree. Oghanims into sheep or something, Oghanims for sure is his best item, hands down. I mean, you get to fully utilize his array of spells. to your maximum potential. Get a Force Staff or Blink to really position yourself well. But I mean, I can't say auto attack, especially Exort, is a bad thing. I mean, you get those Ember Spirits to reduce armor, and you get the attack speed from oh god, the attack speed thingy.
Alacrity.
Alacrity. It's been a little while since I've played him as well, but I mean, you know, either way, it's been working. I haven't beaten one yet actually, so it's been unfortunate so far.
Even when I used to play Invoker Exort, you'd go like 4-1-4, and I'd still play him like Exort, but then like I'd still go Agamons. Like you just can't. I feel like his early game you can vary, but late game should like it's pretty cut and dry. Like because you can't really mix it up that much.
I'm sure in the pro levels it should be.
Yeah.
However, down here in pub world.
Well, in pub world you can do pretty much anything and get away with it. So
Below Mount Olympus, we can do whatever we feel. Max stats first. Who cares?
Well, that's probably you literally are maxing stats as Invoker. It's just you
That's
choose
true.
which one you want. That's all.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I guess I got one more for you, Craig. We haven't talked to you since the big patch. I guess the other big patch with all the balance changes. Has there been one in particular that you found interesting, or that you liked, or that you're looking forward to trying still?
What patch are you talking about?
Oh lord. You remember the patch where everything changed before this?
The Meepo
No, I
and the
don't.
Invoker change and all of the... And that started my 100 games of Venomancer. Have you not been watching the cast, sir? Have you not been tuning in weekly to hear?
I remember a patch. I don't remember what changed in it though. That's when the Invoker changes were. Like there were a bunch of changes. I don't remember like what they were though. It's
Okay.
weren't there
got
store
changed?
changes in that too?
Mm,
I think there were.
Maybe a
I
little
don't know
bit.
why that comes to mind, but that's
6, 7, 8. He was changed, not 9. So.
Close.
You're only 0.01 off. That's really close. That's really
pretty
close.
close.
All right. Well, you know what? Next time you have a change that you're stoked about.
Is that when they changed Axe's alt?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, it's coming back. The amnesia's wearing off. Peace.
No, I'm just thinking of abilities that are different now compared to what they used to be. And Lich, that's probably when they changed Lich too, right?
Mhm.
It is.
Or has he been more recent?
Nope, it's the
Same
same
thing.
patch.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why our friend Will came back to play. That's why.
Lich seems like he's pretty OP right now. Like his ult, doesn't it just like bounce like 13 times
Oh,
or
that
something?
didn't. That's not any different.
That was a while ago. That's fairly recent, but that wasn't the most
That
recent
wasn't
patch.
that one. I know
The
that's
most
when they.
recent one was just the sacrifice thing.
Yeah, the
and
sacrifice.
he is like first for band material, pro level. Like he's definitely
Yeah, because
respected.
that sacrifice thing's way too good.
pretty
Hey,
strong.
look, I'm a support that actually gains levels. Woo.
Yep. It's a nice
Yep.
feeling. And that's why you hand a Midas to
of
bounce
course,
it up.
every game.
You know, it's funny. We were talking about hand Midas, and I think we were talking about in that patch about how it was like troll. And I'm like, can you imagine a Lich getting one? And I mentioned, Will listens to our podcast. He's like, Jay, I heard you say something about hand Midas good. He's like, I think I'm gonna try it. I'm like, dude, no, we were just messing around. He went probably like 10 games in a row, hand a Midas Lich. No matter what the circumstance was, he just wanted to build it every game. And we still won most of them because we had Vino Lich on our team, but I don't think it had anything to do with the hand of Midas, I'm not gonna lie.
Crap, guys. They got like Crobolus and Nature's Prophet, and they got Lycanthrope. I should probably build Hand of Midas.
Yeah, exactly. Get one of those treants taken out. That'll help along the way. Anyways.
But I mean, obviously, I think the most thing we should probably talk about would be the patch, and I'm gonna preemptively just put forth the title of the episode. Everybody, shut up forever, because if you manage to not get something out of this patch, then I feel sorry for you. I was fine and happy before Diretide. I hated almost that they caved and gave Diretide, but they made my Drodo the Druffin even cooler. He's like electric blue, and he's flapping it. It's crazy, and it's so cool. And I love it. And I loved my Drodo the Druffin before, but now he's just baller status. But yeah, tonight we're going to be talking about the 3 Spirits patch. Pretty big, giving us the Ember Spirit, the Earth Spirit, and a visual upgrade to Storm Spirit, as well as a bunch of stuff to the economy and to other aspects of the game, such as coaching and lane picker for when you're in Hero Select. So we're going to talk about some of those. We're going to start with those, actually. And I guess the first thing that I thought actually was really neat about this patch was just the player sets, being able to buy sets specifically linked to professional Dota 2 players. What are your guys' thoughts?
Well,
I didn't know it was a thing.
Jay?
he didn't know it was a thing. So you can think about while I talk. Honestly, it's obviously it's kind of continuing off. In fact, it's actually kind of built on what they've done in the past, because I bought the Na'Vi Queen of Pain set, and because I just love the look of it, and I don't think it specifically said Dendi on it, although clearly it was for Dendi. But this one actually says like Ice 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 Spirit Breaker. They got the Loda PA. I mean, they've got some really awesome looking sets in here, and it's just another great way to bring in the community to like cheer on their fans in a way. I don't know. Apparently, the items keep track of tournament games featuring your chosen player, but I don't think they actually gain anything monetarily from it. But I believe it's just more like a support, like a getting the pennant kind of thing instead.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I love a lot of them. I mean, the one that I think I love the most is the Loda Phantom Assassin. Like, holy crap, that's an awesome looking set.
Yeah.
And I don't really know why IX Mike got to make a Crystal Maiden set. Because there are plenty of heroes that look just fine with a mustache. But unfortunately, they decided to pick Crystal Maiden for that. So there you go. There you have it. I thought that was really cool, though. And like you were saying, I mean, they've already done a really good job trying to get the community sort of involved. Like, even if you're a casual player, to at least be aware that there's a professional scene. And it's nice that now it's sort of more in your face. It's this, oh, who's this Loda guy? What is Alliance? And might make you more interested in the sort of competitive side of Dota 2 and the professional level. So that was really cool.
Bonk doesn't have much more to say, but you said too much on this topic. But it kind of just in line with like for TI3 when they brought the player cards in, just to get to know the professionals. It's just like you said, another way to branch out into that. So, and they look really good. So yeah, definitely no complaints coming out from me. I love it. Should keep it up.
Good way for Valve to make some free money, because you like your teams, and if you feel like you support them, and really you're just supporting Valve.
Yeah, I mean,
smart move monetarily.
Yeah, but the thing that I've definitely liked about all the stuff that obviously Valve is a company and they're trying to make money, all of their stuff seems like really strong as far as community support and trying to build something out of it. Because I know you saw the episode, Craig, that we talked about the international documentary.
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, definitely saw that one.
But just to sort of say how Valve, the whole reason that anybody even tried Dota 2, because all the professional Dota 1 players were like, this is going to be a trash game, was because they just said $1 million. Like, they just threw that much money behind it and obviously use that to attract professional players. Like, oh man, they're gonna back this. Obviously that's good for Valve because they're gonna bring attention to their product that they're putting out, but they're also using that to galvanize professional players to move to their products, to move on to the next level, and to start building a community there. So I really liked that. But I guess socketing and the crafting are probably the next things to talk about. If you guys aren't aware, some items now carry sockets, which will either give them effects or different animations or allow different stat tracking. You can also use crafting scrolls to change a number of common items into a different common item, and yada yada yada, this, that, and the other. What did you guys think about the changes to the economy? I mean, there were pretty big ones.
I don't know a lot about the crafting system.
Well, I guess I got another good answer for this one. Don't worry, we'll get to Earth Spirit soon, Bonk. I just want to first say, how cool is it you get an autograph Rune and put it in your item, and then you have their signature. It's like they signed your sword for Faceless Void. How cool.
All the fanboys are going to be getting Dendi.
I'd like to raise a technicality and say that Faceless Void uses a mace, not a sword.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure one of his things became a whatever. I don't play that freaking hero. Apparently I just play support now, but that's fine. Yeah, well, as far as the economy is concerned, I've heard that it's essentially made it gone to hell. Like, I've heard some negative things, at least up front. And actually, they expected a pretty drastic change to it, and that's why they said they were returning all items that were out there to the players, because prices were going to be drastically affected by this change. Because essentially now people can just, well, obviously, they can craft things. So it's like things that were very, very rare before can now be made from players that get enough items, get enough things going, and it's going to just probably inflate the market to a degree. And I don't know. I love what they've done to items. I like the effects. I like the socketing for sure. Like you said, our Drodos are very pretty. They're very pretty creatures. I will never get rid of that courier as long as I play Dota 2. I'll pass it down to my next of kin. but
Son, you've got to learn to improve your play in Dota 2, and to help you out is by Drodo the Drop and hand it down from generation to generation.
With my autograph on it.
There you go.
But yeah, I don't know, honestly. I'm not sure how it's going to pan out. Hopefully it doesn't make things go too unfavorable, but I heard people lost, there was over $100,000 lost in the market or something just from the sudden shift from this. So, I mean, there's probably a lot more research to do, and we'll see how, like I said, it plays out. But hopefully it doesn't lead to something like some kind of crash in an economy like Dota 2 auction house kind of levels of crashing of economies. So
I feel like, too, that's not something that, even if it did cause a big hiccup, I feel like that's something that would get fixed. They would try to find a way to rebalance it one way or another. I think Valve would be responsible enough.
Now, why do you think they brought in crafting? Why do you think they want this aspect to be in the game?
Well, I think, at least for the more common ones that you're going to get, of just being able to turn a bunch of common items into another common item, I mean...
Uncommon. Yeah.
We all have, armories that are just full of stuff that we're maybe never going to use, or copies of items. So it's a great way for, if you really aren't into the trading scene. I know one of our friends, Orange, is actually super crazy into it. It gives you something to do with your items. And I mean, again, if you want to point out Valve making money, Craig, being able to buy keys to open up the scroll cases now. There's something else to use your keys on.
Yep.
Aren't they different keys? They have so many keys out there in the world. God
keys
knows. There's keys for
days. I
days.
need to open this.
Yeah.
Tell me.
I have a scroll, and I need to
Nope, it just says
do
open
it.
with a treasure key.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think it's the same thing.
Well, at least that's good. So the general trading market, like you said, people just trade keys in general. Then that'll still be useful. In fact, it's just giving them more things to use it on, I guess. But yeah, we were talking about earlier. It was okay, so now I'm gonna open this thing to get a scroll that I still have to use other things to make this an item. It seems kind of you're not really gaining as much, but I mean, our friend Orange was saying that the scroll recipes are worth actually a decent amount. Some of them.
I think Orange is to the point where he starts measuring real life things by the cost of keys. Oh my God, guys, milk costs 3 keys now. Can you believe that? That's a half key higher than.
Well,
it was
remember
last week.
when I evaluate everything when we lived together in Chipotle burritos? I'm like, well, this is about a burrito and a half for this. I mean, there's just some things you can evaluate with common things you deal with.
Absolutely, unfortunately.
Yeah,
In our case, it was Chipotle burritos. But, whatever. Just throw it. I guess the big thing is Diretide. Rejoice, all you kids who needed it so desperately.
We've said our disgust for it already.
I hope you're murdering Roshan with a smile on your face because you got it. And I know you had something in particular to mention about it, Jay, because of especially.
He's raising his hand all politely, and he's just gonna ignore him.
I can't see his camera actually, so I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bonk.
I was just saying. I was gonna say. I think the whole introduction of the crafting system was a lot of it. I think was for the common items, because I mean they have a value, I guess, but not really. If you have let's say the Drow frost spikes, which is a
Hell
hairdo.
yeah.
Everyone has that. Everyone has that. It's probably worth 2 cents, maybe. And the fact that you could turn 5 items that you have that are worth 2 cents, and maybe get an item that's $2 or something. I mean,
So in terms of keys,
awesome.
what are you talking here? So we're trading in like a quarter of a key for 2 keys, or what?
This is like 1/100th of a key for a quarter of a key.
Wow, that's still not a whole key. I'm looking for the whole thing here. No, I definitely agree though. Like I said, I have the common scroll thing, and that is really cool. Now, when you start getting to things like you craft like 3 uncommons into a rare, I really don't know the different tiers, but when it goes up and up, that's when I think it gets really tricky too. Because I mean, some people have played so many games they have 1 billion items. That's not me, but I know there's definitely those people out there, like our friend Terps and different people. But and that's where it becomes, I think, a lot more useful to especially get the upper ones that you use a key to unlock. Like, it wouldn't do me much good because I don't really have much I would use with that. But yeah, I definitely agree. I think it is actually, it's a smart way, and it is, once again, another good way for Valve to get people to buy keys for things. It's just another way.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice too that there's even like, there are different sets and whatever, but with adding the socketing and stuff, it's cool that you even get to like customize your stuff further, and you get to, of course, you've always had the different effects on your couriers or whatnot, but now you can actually control that a little bit better, and it's kind of nice to have this built, outside of the actual Dota game, but this thing that actually could be something that people spend a lot of time looking into, and might be looking to buy certain augments and to socket their items with. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it, like you were saying, affects the economy in the future. And I'm definitely looking forward to. I don't know. I can't make my Drodo cooler. He's kind of just amazing now. So
he can fly. Oh, he does. When you upgrade him. I don't know why I didn't think of that. That was pretty not smart.
He now has 2 fish to carry around in his mouth.
Ooh. That's
there you go.
Yeah.
As far as Diretide goes, getting back to that, there's been a lot of changes already since it's been released, because obviously everyone's looking to get, I think it's called like the Sugar Rush Hall of Fame or something, but essentially it's the people with the most Roshan kills at the end of the game. I haven't played even one set. I was so disgusted by the whole process that I just have refused to play at all since it's come out. But it's essentially, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, because you have the experience of one game over my 0 so far, but essentially it's like a battle for the teams to get the candy, but at the end, all 10 people tag up on the Roshan. That's correct, right? Yes. So, essentially, what people are doing is they're going to this game and using all chat and saying, hey, we need, like, they're trying to plan out a strategy. And people are now getting so furious to the point of if one person either gets the wrong item, or like goes like Heaven's Halberd, or like does something wrong, like people start rage quitting. They like are bashing them completely in chat. Like they're so furious that one person's playing a game differently than what they want. When you're in a pub, like how ridiculous is that? Second of all, the original strategy apparently was Pudge sits in front of the enemy's fountain for 30 minutes, or however long it is till Roshan spawns, and just farms kills with Flesh Heap the whole time and gets enough strength to like do crazy damage. Apparently that was a strategy. I think that's what IG used or something to do it. And eventually they did change that. They like reset his stacks when Roshan spawned or something. But I mean, like, can you imagine just sitting there for 30 minutes while Pudge is just killing everyone? Like, it just got so ridiculous. Excitement. Yeah, if that's not what you guys are waiting for, I don't know.
Then he plays and he's like, wait, what? I'm supposed to be outside of their fountain? I'm just getting all those kills, just whatever. But yeah, I haven't played a whole lot and whatever. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they're trying to control, like, of course, the number of platinum Roshans that go out, because they're apparently worth a lot of money to some people.
Bunny said the other day that they're selling for $10,000 right now.
That's absurd. Can you imagine dropping $10,000 on an in-game courier?
Could you imagine making $10,000 selling one of your couriers?
Yeah, I can't imagine that either. I would just be laughing at the guy the whole time as he's depositing it in my check account.
If that happened to one of us, we would not all be in our basements or rooms. Like
you wouldn't see this background here. I would have an apartment. It'd
be the DoD studio, and it'd be glorious.
For 10,000, I don't know what kind of place you're buying for 10,000, but
mostly cardboard. But you gotta start somewhere. The other really big thing that I think is awesome to talk about for this patch, especially, is the coaching and the lane picker. These are 2 things I think, especially the coaching, that people were really looking into, really looking for. And the lane picker is actually another one of those things that almost seems to come off the back of what some of the casting studios have sort of brought on. Beyond the Summit, especially, they had I guess it was a magnetic board where they had different portraits for heroes that they would be able to slap up while the draft's happening, to be able to say, this is where we think these heroes might go, this is what the laning stage could look like, to be able to give a visual aid to help people understand exactly what they were talking about as far as the positioning. Now is actually a part of the game when you're going to pick. You can actually sort of say, place your portrait somewhere on the map to say, this is where I intend to go. Make it a little bit easier to communicate with the rest of your team. Jay, what do you think about the coaching and or the lane picker?
The lane picker's awesome. That's exactly what I think needed to be implemented, because some people like type like a lane, like mid or bot, and then some people don't even type anything, and they just pick a hero, and you're like, well, that hero could literally go in the jungle or all three lanes, so what the hell is that person doing? You have no idea. And I'm not saying everyone's going to use it, unfortunately. There's still the option just not click on the thing, but it really can be a nice tool, and you don't have to do anything. You do have to click, but I mean, it's so easy to do, and I think it was a great addition. Unless all 5 people click middle, then you got some issues. But I'm just saying it's been it's got the ease to do that.
That's not the feature's fault, though.
No, not at all. It's definitely the user input there at that point.
It's a user error right there.
And there's plenty of that.
And Craig, I know you've actually had some experience in getting to look around inside the coaching client. What did you think of it, or the coaching?
It's pretty much just spectator. I mean, there's not really much to it. You can look at people's viewpoint and just ping, but apparently everyone sees the ping. I thought that was a little weird. It's not just the person you're spectating.
Yeah, I think that I've noticed that
you can click people.
Yeah, when you were trying to show one of our friends something in his skills, I'm like, yeah, I see it too. Like, what do you want to know about Poison Nova? I don't know. But I definitely think that's cool. I mean, there's definitely a way to be able to toggle on if you want to listen to the coach or not, if you want to see the input. But I think a really nice way, you can draw on the map if you're a coach and your students can see it. I think that's actually probably the most useful thing, because obviously I think we've all had times where we might be talking to somebody like, no, the other camp. No, not that camp, the other camp. Yeah, you see that rock right there? That one. A really neat way, I think, to try and help people along, because obviously that's something that Valve's been looking into as far as the tutorials, is finding a better way to bring new players in, because obviously it's something that we've talked about before, even in a Game Informer article in one of the reviews, when Dota 2 sort of became a game. They're like, the learning curve is just so steep that it's sort of hard for new people to get in, especially when the community's so brutal. It's nice that they are bringing in even more elements beyond the tutorials to try and help make it an easier transition for new players.
They did add last hit training missions too, which is very good, very needed. I think. I remember doing the Dragon Knight and working on my last hitting for the first mission, and I'm like, I'm trying way too hard on this training mission. I could just press A on this cave and probably win the thing. But I mean, that's another good thing. And apparently also, this isn't really such a big deal, but bots now substitute for players that leave in limited hero mode. I've played limited hero mode once, and apparently people just leave really early, and they don't care, because they're like, oh my god, noob on my team, and they just drop out. So I think it's really cool for the players who are still learning to not have to deal with that kind of issue in a lot of their games. But it has to be frequent enough that they needed to put that in there. I don't know why else they would do that.
Yeah, I think that's actually really cool. I mean, like you were saying, what if you just feel like messing around and you want to try a build, or you want to go, Blink Dagger Dagon Anti-Mage, and you feel like doing that in the limited hero pool, and oh no, I gave up First Blood, so I'm going to quit out. I think it's a really nice way, because like you were saying, if you're a new player, obviously people are just ducking out, then you're not learning, you're not getting the experience, and the bots aren't perfect, but they're better than the bots that we got to play with in Dota 1, that's for sure.
Hey, that guy did the best he could. All right, with the poses he did. I mean, he did the best he could. They were a little scared. They still like to group up as 5 and just destroy you all at once. But yeah, I think that was a cool change as well. Did we cover pretty much all the other stuff?
I think so. Unless you guys had any sort of.
I need to try coaching still. I haven't gotten to yet, and I really want to. I like the whole pinging, even abilities and stuff. I think that's kind of neat. I mean, obviously, we play as a team of 5 generally, and all of us are experienced enough that we don't need a coach at this point. But it's still, especially like you said, for new players, I think is a very useful thing that really lets him have a lot more control than just being in like a Skype just telling him what to do. Like, you really have more of a feel for it. And the fact that he only can see from your team's view is a way to ensure, he's not cheating or anything. It is really just like he's playing the game with you. So that's really cool.
I think there might be a couple second delay too. I'm not sure though.
Well, the delay is not really necessary since you're on the same team. I mean, all it can really do is help you wise is like him looking in a different lane that your ally's in, but you could do that too. So I mean, I don't think
calling minimap stuff. But I mean, obviously that's not.
That's going above and beyond for a pub game, I have to say.
If you want to try that hard to cheat, you're welcome to, because that is excessive. But let's, I guess, talk about the meat and potatoes of this patch. Ember Spirit, Earth Spirit, and then the Storm Spirit visual upgrade. Let's, I guess, start with just the Storm Spirit. Our good old friend, our crazy little guy, just ball of lightning, jumping around. Looks pretty slick, guys. I kind of really like what they did to him, and it's neat. I was actually reading Cyborg Matt's blog a couple days before the patch hit and saw that they had the 3 sort of seals for the different gems, and he was like, "Oh, this is not directly in the game files, but it's something. It's not like in the game part of the game, but it's something in the files, and I wonder what this is for." Turns out it's for this 3 spirit patch upgrade, and they sort of tie him in with these other 2, the Ember Spirit and the Earth Spirit. Obviously, something that sort of existed in the Dota 1 with them all being panda people.
Yeah, and now they're real people. But, well, that's not necessarily true.
Are you saying panda people aren't real people?
Yes, that is literally what I'm saying.
You may have offended some of our listeners.
Send all your hate mail over to J4 Gaming.
That's true. Well, I've always had some haters. You gotta learn how to deal with them. But the Storm Spirit, no, I mean, first of all, he's obviously been eating fresh over the past couple days because he has slimmed down tremendously. He went on a big weight loss crunch. What did you say it was, Craig? What did you say?
He got gastric bypass and a facelift.
Yep, that's pretty much it. And I mean, his ability icons also got visual upgrades too. I mean, it just has a cool feel. Even though he's literally the same hero, you feel different playing him. Like, I've only gotten to play him a couple times, but it just feels better. It feels smoother. It just, I don't know. And like, just how like, I don't know. I hope they can like continue to make more visual upgrades like this along the way, and I'm sure they will. But it just really added a new feel to the game when you're playing them. So I definitely am a huge fan of what they've done here.
Yeah, I mean, I actually really like the art for all 3 of these heroes. I mean, they did a pretty good job. I think all of them look pretty slick. And, of course, like we had mentioned before, especially the Earth Spirit being one of the newest heroes to Dota 1, we really weren't expecting to see him for a while. But it's nice that they obviously sort of halted progressing Legion Commander and decided, like, oh, let's just do this one big patch where we're going to sort of release these 3 related heroes together. I think that's pretty cool. But let's, surprise. I guess, surprise everybody! You're wrong if you picked Legion Commander like I did to do this. Yeah, we all were kind of in that way. But I guess to talk about the new heroes, how about we start off with the Ember Spirit, an agility hero that I think for us who haven't, or sort of like aware, or have heard the rumors from Dota 1, are aware of the heroes, and they're kind of expecting a lot out of this hero. Has a lot of really strong spells. Craig, I'll tell you right now, if you want to bring up some of the hero's abilities and whatnot to give us a walkthrough of this guy.
Okay.
Something you'd be interested in doing?
Sure. I don't have the thing in front of me. I can tell you what his moves are and what they do and that sort of thing.
Go for it, man.
I can't give you numbers, though. That's
what I'm here for. I'm for the math.
Numbers, right, man.
He's got the math.
Stats, man, J4Y.
He's the real Asian.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead,
quote unquote Asian. Alright, so Ember Spirit's got, this might come to a shock to some of you, but he's got 4 moves.
Whoa!
4. One of them's an ultimate, the other 3 are normal. His Q is like a root, and yeah, it does damage over time, and it picks targets at random nearby. So I mean, if you run into a creep wave with the enemy hero there's a good chance that you're not gonna root him. So you have to be smart about it. His W it's like Omni Slash, except it only hits every target once, and then ends. And you pick an area, and as you level, the area grows, and it does 50% reduced damage to creeps, and it does bonus damage based on level to heroes, which goes 30, 60, 90, 120.
Oh, look at these numbers coming out now.
So I just know these.
Someone found these Google buttons.
No, I just know these off the top of my head. And it cooldown decreases all the way down to what, 4 or 6 or
seconds.
something?
6, yeah.
6, okay. So, and there's an interesting interaction with Slate, with his W, with like most of his other moves actually. Anyway, E is like.
You're not gonna tell us though. You're just gonna bait us with that.
I have to go through all the spells before I saw how they interact.
Just thanks for
with each
putting
other.
the bait out
I can't
there.
just be like, oh, W does this with his E, but you don't know what his E does yet. So.
Guys, there's something really cool coming out, but just, hold on. I'll tell you later. Don't worry about it.
E is his Flame Guard. It's like it absorbs magic damage, so it makes him actually like tankier, especially early game. Generally, this is the skill that you level first. I mean, because in the first 7 levels of the game, most of the damage coming out is going to be like magic based. So it makes him like a lot stronger early. It's going to be either magic based or you face tanking creeps. But it actually scales really interestingly. Because his first level, it absorbs 50 magic damage and does 30 damage per second and an AoE of 400 around him as fire damage. And it doesn't break. The damage goes on for the duration unless the magic absorption breaks. So the first level is obviously really easy to break. But every level after the first level, it increases by 150. So it's 50, 200, 350, 500. So at the last level, at level 7, you absorb 500 magic damage, which is pretty much like anyone's attempt to burst you down. Like I don't think it would be possible 1-on-1 to burst him. Even like 2-on-1, you'd have a real hard time.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is like when we think of like a spell, like let's just say Vengeful Spirit Stun, like that gains about 50 to 70 damage per level, but he gains 150 absorption. So it's scaling better than the damage incoming from spells. So like you said, it really is getting a lot harder unless you're getting ganked by multiple heroes to break it.
Like, I'm pretty sure Finger of Death at level 1 doesn't hit for 500, right?
Oh, it does. It does. It does crazy damage. Lena's might not. I'm not sure about hers. Finger of Death is crazy.
I thought they both hit for like 450.
Hold on, Statsman J.
Statsman J, pull it up.
Is calculating this in his head. He's doing some computations.
600 damage.
It is 600 damage at rank 1. Actually, 725 with Oghnims, just saying.
Do you know if the absorption is before reduction? Or after?
It's before.
Is it before?
I believe it's before.
Because if it was after, I would have had you.
It's before, correct.
Okay. Alright. Okay, yeah, it's right there on my screen.
That's okay.
Anyway. But still, I mean, that's, 500 of 600 damage just gone.
Yep.
So.
That will completely eat a Laguna Blade, which does 450 damage at rank 1.
So I mean, like, you get him down to 100, Lena shows up, you pop it, Laguna Blade, nothing. Sorry, Lena.
Yeah.
The princess is not in this castle.
Oh.
So.
Denied.
Now the interactions with Sleight of Fist. I guess we'll go to his ult.
Well, we just talk about the ultimate too. Yeah.
His ult. His ult's really interesting to me. I don't really know how much I like it in the sense of like using it in fights. I have done it just because it's extra damage that you can get off for almost for free. But he has, when he gets his ult, he has 3 remnants that he can place within a fairly large AoE, 1500, and each remnant is just like it's like a ghost image of himself that's visible. I mean, people can see him. And when he pops the second part of his ult, because it's 2 parts. It's one's to place the revenants, which essentially do nothing on their own. They need the second part of the ability. And then the other one's the activation, where he picks a Revenant, or he like clicks in the area of a Remnant, sorry, and he'll go to that Remnant, like wherever he is on the map. Let's say he drops Remnant in the fountain and ports out to bottom lane and starts getting ganked. He can immediately port back to the fountain for 150 mana and like avoid a gank completely. So it's a really, really good escape. But if you have more than one Remnant out, he'll go to... You can like pick which one to go to, but he'll go to all of them. Just whichever one you pick is the last one he goes to. And when he goes to a Remnant, it explodes and does damage. It's, what, 100, 150, 200, and a 450 radius around each Remnant. So if everyone is in a black hole and he dropped all 3 Remnants, I mean, it could do okay damage. I mean, it's definitely not a skill used for its damage.
Yeah, so. I agree with you. I mean, like you were pointing out, I mean, there's a lot of real potential with the ability to activate to move around. And I think, like you were saying, I think this is an interesting carry because there's a decent amount of nuance in them. And there's a lot of stuff that happens in the numbers, as we talked about with the Fire Shield already, or the Flame Guard already. But this ultimate, I feel like, is about if you can get, like, let's say 2 in the team fight, pop the activate, throw out another one so that you have a way out as well. I think that's actually a really good use for it. Like you were saying, you can teleport around and then be able to go back to another Remnant in case you get in trouble. You can obviously go across cliffs or across terrain. The only thing is, I believe the movement speed of the Remnants is affected by yours, so if you're affected by heavy slow, your Remnants are just like slow motion jogging to their destination.
Yeah, I think it's at 2 times?
2.5.
Speed? 2.5? That's close.
So, I mean, that is one way to attempt to try and somewhat hold him in place by applying heavy slows like Venomous Gale.
I mean, he's got a Remnant already. Like, if he presets it, then you can't... You'd have to...
Yeah, because the speed he moves to the Remnant is at 1,300 or 0.4 seconds, whichever is faster.
Yes, so being able to deploy the Remnants can obviously be slowed by the movement speed slowing effects, but you can go, like you were saying, Jay, move between them at that set speed.
I don't know. I didn't really go over this. When you cast a Remnant, it moves to the locations you cast it from you. It doesn't just like show up.
Right.
So if you're slowed, your Remnant moves at 2.5 times your move speed. So if you're like, let's say you just got purged, and because when you initially get purged, your move speed's 0, and then it scales down quickly. So if you do it like half a second later, your Remnant's not going to move very fast, and it's not going to be a very good use of the escape. But if you have a Remnant down somewhere, you can just go to it. In what Jay said, 1,300 move units per second, or 0.4, whichever is faster. So essentially, you can get anywhere you want, like instantly, assuming you have Remnant down.
Right.
I think the other really interesting thing about Ember Spirit is just that his base stats are pretty decent. His agility gain is pretty weak.
Yeah.
But his movement speed is pretty stellar. 310 is really nice, and especially like what you were talking about in the Flame Guard, just being able to do the AoE damage until the Flame Guard is destroyed. You can run people down with that 310, especially very early into the game. And Ember Spirit, to me, I think in just playing with him, seems to be a hero that if you're able to get a little bit of an advantage, you can really have a big impact, especially in the mid game. He feels almost a lot to me similar to Anti-Mage, and just the fact that you can sort of treat him as a later game carry where he gains strength in sort of the late middle game, but at the very end might fall off depending upon your item choices. Or you can sort of build him to be upfront menace in the early to mid game, and then of course would fall off much earlier.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of interesting things. I think he might be the only agility hero in the game that has more strength gain than agility gain per level. I mean, that's kind of interesting in itself. He's become more of this survivable person rather than all-out burst damage. And I mean, the way he's built is generally either very stealthy, like a Shadow Blade, or he'll go something that's like an attack modifier or something, because those do scale with the Sleight of Fist, his W, or work with it rather. But yeah, it's just like he doesn't seem like the late game carry that you're gonna want. He's definitely not really built for that, and it kind of shows with the stat gains as well. You know, he's not building to be this all-out damage dealer. He's kind of just gonna jump around the fight, cause a lot of chaos. He does have a CC, which is always great to have, and then the nice protection from both the Flame Guard and the Fire Remnant can really make him a pain to deal with for sure.
Something I didn't know about his Q, his root, is that it interrupts channeling spells.
Yeah.
Not know that. That is interesting.
Lesson learned.
That's also
Stop those
really
TPs.
But yeah, I mean, it's obviously because you have to hit him, and you know, like you said, it's random the two people that you hit. So you know, I mean, if he's by himself, yeah, you're going to guarantee it. But otherwise, you just have to kind of hope. And I've definitely seen plenty of them not hit me when I'm running away or something, and been thankful that I got lucky through RNGesus. But
I think there are like two things that I really want to like focus about this hero, in talking about is like one that he has, as we've mentioned a couple times, weird number interactions across the spells. Like you had already pointed out, Bonk, Flame Guard starts with 50 absorption, then jumps up to 200 absorption, which is obviously a huge shift from one point to another. Obviously very weak at rank 1, but gets pretty awesome at rank 2. And sort of reminds me the most, I think, of Bounty Hunter Shrieking, where the damage is sort of like getting it to 2 points is really good, but then the 2 to 3 point is weird. And Searing Change as well is a spell that is really sort of affected by the number of points in it, because for ranks 1 and 2, it's a 2-second root. Ranks 3 and 4, it's a 3-second root. And the damage per second increases at a regular rate, which means that your third point is your biggest damage increase, increasing it by a second, so you get the 80 damage on top of the 20 per second increase.
Go from 120 to 240 in one level. That's a
I mean, if you want to make it easy to understand, you could put it that way.
If you want to make it simple, right? that's one way to go about it. The Flame Guard's such an interesting ability. It kind of almost makes me like him, not in a jungle sense, but in a way he can clear big stacks. Like you said, we'll probably talk about skill builds a little bit more later, but the fact that if you do prioritize it, not only are you gaining 10 damage per second per level, you're also gaining 4 seconds of duration. So it goes from 8 to 20. At the last rank, that's 1,200 damage if it goes a full duration, which is insane when you think about it, because it's 1,200 AoE damage. It's like having a Radiance up, a higher damage dealing with Radiance up all the time. But, of course, in a team fight, 500 magic damage shouldn't be hard to muster up from the other team. But I'm just saying there's a theoretical chance you're doing 1,200 AoE damage, and like I said, killing stacks later can be just so simple with that, and you're obviously Sleight of Fist and other abilities, so he definitely can be quite an AoE bot with all 4 of his abilities, to be honest.
That's sort of the other parallel I kind of wanted to draw to Animage. Is it's something that I'll say that I haven't really seen much in pub play, especially because there's obviously this huge early game potential for this carry that isn't necessarily there for other ones, but being able to flash farm with Flame Guard is insane. Like, I really do like picking up additional movement speed items, whether it be a phase boots or a drums, or if you want to go for like an S and Y or something. I like picking up a little bit of movement speed, because you can just, between Fire Remnant and Flame Guard, even if you don't have items, you can just jump between camps really quickly, mow them down, and if you're at a point in the game where you're sort of stalled out, your team can't make anything happen, this is a hero a lot like Animage that can just disappear for a bit and then come back with a bunch of stuff, and help you sort of in the middle part of the game.
Yeah, I feel like Ember Spirit, you have to really wait and see what people do with him. I feel like his early game is super duper strong if you're trying to push. Like, if you go, let's say, Flame Guard into Sleight of Hand. Wait, is it Sleight of Hand?
Sleight of Fist.
Sorry. Closed Hand.
He's no magic trick dealer here, okay?
If you do like Flame Guard into Sleight of Fist, I mean, by like level 11, if you have, let's say, one good item, whether it be like Desolator or Chain Lightning, whatever the heck that's called, Maelstrom. I mean, it's really hard to stop him from harassing you under your tower if he's just spam Sleight of Fist on you. Because while he's in Sleight of Fist, he's invulnerable, and when he comes out wherever he started casting it from. So, I mean, his push potential and his team fight potential early game, I feel like is way higher than any other carry in the game.
I mean, I think Luna would obviously be a good one that puts out a lot of early game pressure as far as carries, but I think probably between him and Luna, those are really the ones that, to me, are like, you can actually harass people from range and do a good amount of damage while you're trying to lay on that push. And obviously, Sleight of Fist is like, if you can't necessarily chase people down with it if there are a lot of creeps, because you're taking time per one to hit, so you could potentially lose somebody if you're trying, like, you can't keep up with them with Sleight of Fist. But Sleight of Fist does a lot of things. Like you said, you're a melee carry that has a ranged AoE nuke that does extra damage to heroes. And then even if you're talking about a situation where, hey, you're in the laning phase and you feel like you might want to put points in Sleight of Fist, you're not pushing the creeps all that much to do a lot of damage to the enemy hero. It's a really neat spell also, and this is sort of the other really big thing I wanted to point out that I don't see enough, and like you were starting to mention, Bonk, is the fact that the Sleight of Fist will apply on-hit effects. So bash, cleave, critical strike, and attack modifiers, which is huge. I mean, the big one, the really easy one that I feel like people overlook a lot is Orb of Venom. It's one that you wind up seeing on like maybe the Bounty Hunter, on the Lone Druid, to be able to put that little bit of a slow on somebody. But you're able to apply this in an AoE. It's actually a really cheap way to get a little bit of extra CC for a carry, which I think is something that you often lack.
I have a question. It says the radius on Sleight of Fist is 550. Does that actually mean radius, or is it talking diameter? Because if it's radius,
it's pretty big.
If you think about it, if its radius is 550, its cast range is 700. You can hit somebody who's 1250 away from you with Sleight of Fist. That's twice like the that's like, isn't that right? Like twice the normal attack range of most ranged champions.
That seems correct. I mean, it's that last rank is really large. I mean,
it's huge.
The first one's actually pretty small. You can definitely feel the effects of leveling that ability up is substantial, and it actually and other interesting things to note about, like, it hits enemy neutrals in the AoE even if they're in fog. It hits them even if they blink or teleport away. Like if they scroll TP, if you use that to target it, it will eventually hit them by the end of the spell. So this is going to do its damage to all those targets no matter what. And it's a really interesting effect for sure.
Some of the things, the way it interacts with its Q and E, like when you
cool.
Sleight of Fist, I'm not exactly sure how it interacts, but if you Sleight of Fist an area, and while you're Sleight of Fisting, if you hit Searing Chains casts, I'm not sure if it's where your character is when he's Sleight of Fisting, or from the cast, like, the center of Sleight of Fist. But you can Sleight of Fist and Searing Chains while you're doing it, and you'll come back, and your Searing Chains will have casted, like, while you were Sleight of Fisting, over where you were Sleight of Fisting. So you can actually root someone who's pretty far away from you.
It works like the Omni Slash in a way. Like with Omni Slash, they made the change where you can use items while Omni Slashing, and it's the same thing. You can even use items during Sleight of Fist, I believe, if you have it, like a Dagon. I don't know why you have a Dagon, but if you have one, you can. So it's the same thing where, like you said, you can also activate abilities. So I've seen it happen. I haven't definitely like tested it out fully about the, like you said, like location. Like, is it where you're bouncing? Is that where the cast matters or not?
I'm not sure. It's definitely very difficult to pull off, especially when you're trying to do it with low targets. Like if you try to, because if you think about it, if you have one target and you're trying to root him, Sleight of Fist lasts 0.2 seconds. So you have to cast it and hit root within 0.2 seconds.
You have to be a robot.
Like, I think I've done it once, and every time I just fucked it up.
Make a script like the armlet toggle, and we'll be fine.
I've been like, click, click, dang it, too slow. Click, click, ah! It's really difficult. And then the same thing works with Flame Guard. If you Flame Guard on when you Sleight of Fist, the burn effect is there. Like, you're still doing damage over time with Flame Guard.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, obviously the Sleight of Fist gets 0.2 seconds per attack, and it attacks everything. So if there's a lot of stuff in the way, a lot of creeps, a lot of...
There's 25 units. Wait, no. It's 6-second cooldown, sorry. There's 30 units. You can be invulnerable forever.
Just 30 units.
And
That's
if they never
That's
die...
all it takes.
Yeah, and they have to never die.
That's all it takes, and you're invulnerable.
And as long as you don't run out of mana.
Yeah, I mean, I just think this is a crazy interesting spell, and the attack modifier thing is something that people don't take enough advantage of. Desolators, obviously, I think are a really big one. The Maelstrom is a really nice one just because it gives you a little bit more burst damage, and it helps you farm if you really do need to sort of drop out of the fight. It's like, I think, a really great... You can fight, but you can also farm a little bit more efficiently with it, too. What were you...
You know what I haven't freaking seen?
Scotty?
Where the hell's the bashers with this guy?
Oh, yeah, that too.
How have I not seen one basher built on this hero when you can bash potentially all your targets in AoE every 6 seconds? Like, I know it's not going to proc on them.
Bash has an internal cooldown, doesn't it?
Yes.
You know what? It does. Okay. It's
So
lost on its potential. However, you probably weren't going to bash all of them anyways, so that would have been pretty lucky. I mean, some people play PA and just get every single hit a crit almost, but still, I love the idea of a basher on him. I mean, I still think that's a really strong... Maybe not first, but I really love the idea of a basher on this hero. Just like you said, take advantage of the attack modifier. I just played my last game. I was against one, and he did get that Orb of Venom. It's the first time I've seen Orb of Venom picked up so immediately as well, and it was scary as hell. I mean, like you said, he could just apply that easily on me and then catch up and do the root, and I was in a pretty bad place at that point.
That's the other...
Do you know the internal cooldown on Basher?
No, off the top of my head.
Let's do some calculations.
Calculate it, Jay.
Calculate.
Calculate it,
But
quick.
Why? Why do you ask?
Because it depends on how many...
Oh, it's a very long cooldown. It's 2 seconds.
Oh, see, now that's terrible.
Well, let's not say terrible.
As soon as he gets a bash, that means he needs to go through 10 targets before he can get another bash.
Well, I only expect him to probably bash one person then in that.
And that's
It's
like
not,
a 3,000
it's
gold
not
item.
terrible, though. I mean, it's not terrible. It could be. The thing is, though, let's say you're like he was saying, you're trying to catch up to someone, and there's only like 2 targets you're chasing after instead of like a whole creep wave or something. You're probably gonna bash one of them eventually, then, and then that'll give you 1.4 second stun. And since it's not terrible, okay, it's not terrible. I think it's neat. I like it.
I think maybe the biggest potential impact of the Sleight of Fist interacting with a modifier is with Eye of Scotty, because it has a movement speed and an attack speed slow built into it. This item could potentially mean that your Ember Spirit is an anti-carry by building this item. It gives you a little bit more to try and not only just apply slow in an area, but to be able to ramp down some of the enemy auto attackers. And I think that's actually really interesting. And this is a hero that is like crazy mana dependent. Obviously, all of his spells wind up being on a really short cooldown towards the end of the game. He winds up being quite mana hungry. Being able to just pick up a bunch of general stats is actually really nice. And I feel like if you never plan on getting an attack modifier, I would still pick up the Orb of Venom.
You're crazy if you're not planning on getting an attack modifier, but
Just something to think about. He's melee, and Eye of Scotty's duration on a melee champion is 5 seconds, and the cooldown of Sleight of Fist is 6 seconds.
yeah, you're keeping them slow, and it's a really good slow too. It's what, 30%? Is it?
BRB.
I'm supposed to be Mr. Math guy, but I can't even do that. I'm doing it really horribly this episode. But
35% movement speed slow and 35% attack speed slow.
right, that's huge. And the attack speed too, like you said. I mean, that's the thing. We're not expecting him to be this crazy auto attack hero that's going to win the fight. He's going to be this nuisance that's jumping in and out of the fight, CCing, locking down, and being really hard to kill. And I don't know. I'm starting to think, though, if you had to choose just one attack modifier, would you agree? I think, personally, the Desolator has to be probably the best option. Well, it's got to be between that and Eye of Scotty, I think. It's just the fact that Desolator is a guaranteed... it's going to affect all the heroes that you use it on. It's a pretty long duration to keep it up on them for. And that Midas Armor for your whole team is going to be very useful. It's a very quick way to just dish out Midas Armor to everyone involved.
Yeah, I mean, there really aren't many that I don't like, to be honest, because the one that I still haven't really gotten to test out, and of course I can't actually do this in real games because I'm still on my Venomancer spree, is that getting a upgraded Diffusal Blade.
Okay.
Is the one I'm most curious about. And I think the only reason that might have some potential, or the situation I might like that the best is if you're having problems sieging high ground. Obviously, Desolator, if you're able to step up onto the tower and you apply Desolate, you're reducing the armor of the tower. But if you're having a hard time being able to get up in there in the first place, being able to just say, yeah, you guys can push the creep wave back, but I'm going to be here doing a lot of damage to start with because of having ranked up Sleight of Fist. So I'm also going to be burning mana and doing the mana burn damage on top of that. I'm really curious to see what that looks like. It's also an item that gives him some additional mana to work with. So I'm really curious to try that one out. Really, though, like I was saying, I don't think that there's one. I think there's a situation for all of these modifiers.
Except Cleave.
Is Desolate applied before damage?
Why do you have to ask all these complicated questions,
yes, it is.
Craig?
Okay, because it's a big deal. It's a huge deal for Desolator, like on him. Because Sleight of Fist does additional physical damage. So, like, Desolator is like huge spike for him in damage.
Yeah, and I believe that the crit is applied with the bonus damage on top of it for Sleight of Fist. If someone wants to confirm or deny that.
What'd you just say? I wasn't
Say
listening.
on the ability.
What'd you just say?
If crit is affected, if the bonus damage is affected by crit, I want to say that it is.
I think it is. I think
Sleight
it's
of
the
Fist.
same way with like
It's like, oh yeah, because
Shadow Blade.
it's your normal attack plus bonus damage, and then the crit would apply. Yeah.
So
it's using Shadow Blade.
Obviously, I think if you're trying to go for your own carry build, I think those are good items. Like the super recommended item form is the Battle Fury, which originally I was going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be all about the Battle Fury, but now it almost feels like, I guess I
don't guess at all. I dislike it strongly. I'm very opposed to it. Very opposed to it. The thing is, he's already an AoE bot, in my opinion. Flame Guard and Fire Remnant alone, you can clear anything you want in a very quick way. So you don't need Cleave. And the fact that they recommend 3 freaking Battle Furies, Valve, you are the biggest trolls ever, because it's not only core, but it's 2 situational. 2! They literally put 2 in the situational, like they want you to have 3 by the end of the game. I mean, I remember freaking Magnetars and Svens doing that back in Dota 1, and just laughing hysterically as they cleave the world down. But this just seems excessive. This seems... I don't even like 1. I'd rather personally have some of these other things. Like, I'd rather prioritize other things. I mean, I get it. It's good damage. It's health and mana regen. It's like... It's an all-around pretty good item for a carry to get. But I feel like these other items could be so much more useful for this hero. I don't know. I feel it's so troll.
I feel like Dezo is his core.
I would agree for most situations.
There you go. You heard it first.
It sucks
Bonk's
that you can't get Dezo with Scotty. It's very disappointing.
That would be
ridiculous.
That would be.
And we can probably all agree lifesteal's essentially worthless on this hero, because the amount of auto attacking you're probably going to be doing in a normal fight is not nearly enough to compensate. Like, I guess if you get ultra late game and you need like to go satanic just to like somehow come back alive in a fight, maybe, but I don't see why you would ever feel the need to go like a Helmet Dominator or something to get your lifesteal in there, because I really feel like you shouldn't be prioritizing on auto attacks in these fights.
Well, you would get the lifesteal.
You lifesteal from Sleight of Fist.
I guess.
I mean, I'm not saying
you're vulnerable when you're regening health.
I like
yeah.
if
lads.
you're like,
if you're looking for if you're looking for a really early game oriented build, I think Vlad's is a pretty decent way to go.
Are you sure the lifesteal works when you're invulnerable? I feel like invulnerable means you don't gain or lose health. I feel like you maintain.
I'm pretty sure it works.
Well, this is up to the science labs of Dota on Demand to calculate and come back to you with. But I don't know. I feel like I'm just saying. I feel like it's definitely one of the weaker modifiers of the options you have.
I would agree with that, but I definitely think that there's like I was saying earlier, I think all these choices are actually really cool. And the other thing that I really like about this hero is he feels pretty at home middle, and I actually really like him with a bottle. It's a lot of fun, and because you're already so fast in the first place, and you have Remnant obviously at 6 to be able to help you get around and keep track of those runes. Really interesting to try and play him in that middle lane, because he actually has some potential there, where a lot of melee carries don't necessarily have room. I mean, Kunkka, yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah.
Just
The biggest part of him playing middle is just Flame Guard. It's like
Flame Guard's
usually
huge middle.
whoever plays middle is a magic damage dealer of some sort. And if they try to make trades with you and you can absorb 500 damage of theirs, then they're not ever going to be able to trade well with you.
And the thing
unless
is,
they can just keep you away.
if they get greedy, you can maybe catch them off guard with the Searing Chain and your combination. The fact that you have a CC to go with someone that smokes in is just huge, in my opinion. Like, it's a great way to set up kills with someone like a Crystal Main or any kind of roamer. Compare that to like a Magnus or someone who maybe is not such a great hero to gank with other people up front. I don't know. He seems excessively strong, and in that early part in the middle lane. So the only thing, he kind of feels like his Storm Spirit brother, in the sense that until 6, you're kind of screwed if you get ganked middle. Like, you can use the Sleight of Fist to go invulnerable briefly, so maybe dodge a spell really well or something. And like you said, absorb a lot of magic damage, that's great and all, but you're still going to be CC'd at the end of the day. So auto attacks are probably enough that early in the game to take you out. So once you're 6, though, you're gold. I mean, you really should be able to get out of pretty much anything. So, I don't know. It's kind of like one of those things where have a lot of vision and be on top of your game and you should be fine.
I agree, and the great thing there too is, I mean, obviously part of the benefit of being any hero mid is that you're getting a level advantage, and because of like how these spells ramp up and how much damage you're able to get, how much potential gank ability you're able to get once you hit 6. I mean, him falling into one of the side lanes after hitting 6, I feel like is a huge amount of damage. It really doesn't take much help for you to be able to take somebody down, and especially if you're able to catch people off guard, they're obviously not going to be trying to break your flame shields so that you do less damage. You're probably just trying to get out. And if you're able to have that up there and just be able to sort of chase people down with it because you are so innately fast in the first place, that there's a lot of killing potential there.
Could we kind of compare him to Weaver in the sense of like a carry that does some good damage and hard to kill, like really good at escaping? I mean, actually our viewer Seth JP in the chat suggested, he says he likes Lincoln's on him just to make him that much more harder to kill. Plus, now that Lincoln's has been buffed in the patch that Craig remembers so much about, you could
use
even
it on other people.
You could exactly, yeah, he does now. But you could transfer that buff around even if you don't necessarily need it yourself. I mean, blocking a magic spell not necessarily huge. Like, I've seen a lot of BKBs built instead just to make sure you can't be locked down in fights. But it's just obviously Weaver's late game is going to do a ton more damage than Ember Spirit just because of that Shuki. I mean, not Shuki, because of Gemini attack. Shuki late game actually is going to do pretty much nothing. But still, they're kind of both just very difficult to kill and kind of high burst damage heroes.
The other nice thing about the Lincolns too is, I mean, and just looking at Ember Spirit stats, I mean, he's really not that durable, and I really, I mean, I'm, I guess, a big proponent for drums, period, maybe, but
yeah, and he's getting
not. Yeah, that's, I think, a really big missed opportunity to be able to pick up the drums, get yourself a little bit more durable, and that's something that's increasing your attack speed, it's increasing your movement speed, it's increasing your farm potential, it's giving you general stats, to give you mana to play with, to get you tankier, to get you more armor, and to make you hit harder. It's, I feel like, something you should really look to get. Especially if you're, going to try and skip other kind of mana regeneration items, because your spells do potentially so much work. You should at least look to have that to sort of bolster your stats.
This is kind of a big debate for me. Battle of the Boots. I'd say the majority have gone arcane boots that I've seen. Now, obviously, I think it definitely can make a difference if you're middle lane versus farm lane, but I'd still say as a general rule I've seen arcane boots, but I favor the phase boots more. Just for the fact that it does help with your Sleight of Fist damage as well as the speed to catch up or run away from people. But like I said, I've honestly seen way more arcane boots. Now, why do you think people are favoring that over the phase boots?
I mean, he is like super mana intensive.
Mm-hmm.
But I would never build arcanes on him, I don't think. Unless nobody on my team was going to get them. Then I might think about it. But I mean, his W works off his attack damage, so you're pretty much nerfing his potential for like early game harass.
Mhm.
Well, that too, and it's also, I mean, again, this is a hero that excels at being able to sort of keep on top of people and track them down, and being able to creep walk, I think, is really big. To be able to get that bonus movement speed to move between camps is big as well. Um, I would agree that I think I would 9 times out of 10 look to pick up mana in a different way, and get phase boots instead of trying to get the arcane boots.
I guess we didn't even think about treads, but I mean, treads don't seem just worth it at all.
They don't fit him.
You can get the extra damage if they're agility treads, and then you can gain that extra little bit of mana for spells if you switch from the int and beast. I mean, but you don't really need him to be that durable. I mean, your durability comes from your magic blocking, I feel like, early, so you don't really need the strength necessarily. So yeah, if it were coming down to me, I would say definitely or tranquil boots. You could roam, and that would suck. But okay, let's not do that.
And like double, if you really want to min-max, his ult is based off his move speed, so you can activate phase boots and then throw an ult, and it'll move faster.
That is really min-maxing, but yes, that's correct. That's true.
I mean, like, phase boots is just way more. I feel like it's just a way better pickup.
Yeah, and again, because of, I think, his stats really not giving him enough health and mana to really sustain anyway, I think that there is enough for you to try and go for an item that will give you the general stats that you don't necessarily... Like, you need the health, too, so why wouldn't you get an item that's also going to give you a health pool as well as mana pool? You know, like the drums, or if you were going to get the perseverance to be able to give you both health regeneration and mana regeneration. Like, solving mana problem alone, I don't think really helps you that much, because health is still an issue, even though you can absorb a lot of magic damage.
Like, I feel like if you're in side lane, you can go Ring of Aquila, and that'll be good mana regen for the early game. And then if you're mid, like you were saying, you're probably going to go bottle. So you don't really need the arcane. Even though I've seen a lot of middle guys go arcane boots and bottle middle, I'm like, dude, what are you doing with all that mana? Like, there's no way you're using all of that. That is insane. He also had rune control because of the fire remnants. I mean, fire remnants give you easy rune control, but it was just seemed way overkill, and like you guys are saying, it really kind of hurts that burst damage that you're trying to put out on people to get the kills early on. So unnecessary.
I don't feel like Fire Remnant's like super important to get like a ton of defensive stats on, because unlike traditional hard carries, he can stay more or less outside of a team fight.
Did you call him Fire Remnant?
Sorry.
Ember Spirit. Okay, I was just confused. I'm like, your ultimate doesn't need defensive stat? What's happening here? Okay.
You can stand outside of a team fight decently and still do like decent damage just with spamming Sleight of Fist.
Right, with your Flame Guard up. Yeah, you're doing pretty good damage.
Yeah, I mean, you're still doing decent damage, and you're not in that much danger to the point where, if you're like, Sven or PA or just like a traditional hard carry that needs to be like in the heat of things, you don't like really need to be in there. You can try to like stay around the outside, help pick off people, and just Sleight of Fist into the fight, and then you'll come back out relatively safe.
I definitely think I like him a lot in lineups that have more than one carry, because if you're being focused, great. Then your other carry gets thrown around. If you're not being focused, then great. You get to do a lot of damage with the Flame Guard. And again, if you're looking at sort of his Sleight of Fist as not only being a good source of damage, but of a way to proc effects. I mean, like we were saying with the Orb of Venom, you're really adding a lot to the fight in just that component. So you don't necessarily have to be, nor necessarily can you be, like the be-all, end-all carry in a game. So I really like it if you're able to have something else on your side of the board that's able to take it late, so that you can just sort of either bolster that or to I guess take the heat off of it.
Take the heat off.
Yeah. Even if you're not like doing like all the damage in the world and killing everybody, if you go Deso's debuff's like 12 or 14 seconds or something, you can desolate the entire enemy team, and that alone and damage from your other heroes on your team auto-attacking, I mean, it's significant. Mm-hmm. Like, let's say you do like 80 less damage, like per second or whatever, than a traditional carry. But the more auto-attack damage that your team would be doing, just because everyone on their team has, -6 armor, it's significant amount. It's not something that should be, forgotten about. Normally, if someone has a Desolator, it's applied maybe 1-2 targets. It's not all 5.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, I mean, you could go even aura items if you want and to apply the auras around like Assault Curious, or I mean that's kind of going above and beyond, but I do enjoy in general. I think he's a strong hero. I think we need to move on to Earth Spirit. I mean, we've been talking about this here for like 40 freaking minutes, and it's ridiculous. And Earth Spirit's the more complicated one, so
Earth Spirit.
I mean, I just want this to be able to end tonight, so that's sorry to bolster it on. And I'm sure as these episodes go on, we'll probably even have more to talk about him. But for now, yeah, Earth Spirit. Do we want to let Bonk? God knows he did such a rough job last time. Do we really want to let him do this next hero? And by the way, if he said we started with the other one, he'd be wrong because this hero has 5 abilities. So you gotta be careful what you say.
That's why I said it for Ember, not Earth.
Ooh, oh, you even had your own way. Sorry, I ruined it. You know what? Proceed.
All right, Earth Spirit. I've been playing him a bit middle. I played him in side lane too. I definitely like him a lot more middle, as like a initiator kind of role instead of like a support initiator. We'll go in straight into his abilities. He gets a free skill. Who else gets free skills? Does anyone else get a free skill?
Yes. But I'll tell you in a minute.
Don't ruin him. Go.
Oh, okay. Anyway, he gets free skill, Stone Remnant. He gets it at level 1, just base. It just drops a remnant that just sits there and it interacts with all of his abilities, pretty much. So,
did you notice all 3 heroes have remnants?
Yeah, I know.
Isn't
right?
that crazy?
Except Earth and Embers actually do a lot more than Storm.
Whoa, Stag Revenant's pretty pimp. Does some good burst
damage, and that's it. It doesn't really do much of anything else.
And it poses really cool.
It has cool poses, exactly. You can't discount that.
Alright. Stone Remnant has charges, 6 charges. They restore every 25 seconds. So if you were to drop all 6 remnants, you would not have a single remnant for 25 seconds. And then, 50 seconds you'd have 2, etc., etc. So their duration is 2 minutes, and it's a 1400 range, so you can cast them pretty far. They all interact with, I think, every single one of his abilities? Yeah.
Yep.
Every single one. We'll start with Q, Boulder Smash. He can smash an enemy, an ally, or a stone. So he can target pretty much anything. And he knocks it back in a direction. And the direction is based on where he's standing compared to like the enemy. So it rocks just straight away from him, essentially. And this can actually be really tricky to aim. I think this is probably one of his hardest moves to actually use. Because, as you approach a target and you like move side to side to it, it changes where the remnant goes at a much larger area the farther away it gets. If that makes sense. It's about angles.
Can you say Bloodseeker synergy? Sorry. Maybe I've gone too far. Go ahead.
Bloodseekers. Anyway. It would synergize with
Oh, yes, it would. Sorry.
The knockback is 800 at all levels, unless it's a remnant, and then it's 2000. If you hit a target, it does damage to the target and anything it hits. If you hit a stone, anything the stone hits takes damage and is silenced for 5 seconds at all levels. So if you're if you only have it level 1, it's a 5-second silence if you hit it right. So I mean, it's huge. Like 5 seconds is ridiculously long.
Silencer ult.
Yeah. Generally, when you play him, you level Boulder Smash first, because it's your like nuke.
Well, we'll get there, okay? Why don't you just get back to the abilities, silly?
It's your nuke. Hold on. Oh, okay, whatever. Next one's Rolling Boulder. He turns into a boulder, and after 0.6 seconds, he starts rolling in the direction that you cast. The range is 800. If he hits a stone remnant in his path, the range turns to 1600. The damage is 90 at all levels, and if it's a stone remnant, it goes up to 135. The impact radius is 150, so you need to hit someone in that area, or else you're just going to whiff and go flying. And it has a movement and attack speed slow of 80 seconds if he hits a stone remnant before he hits his target. Or hits a stone remnant and then hits his target. Except, I should say not target, because it's not targeted. You have to pick, and he goes in that direction. And the first thing he collides with, in an area gets affected by the damage and the slow and stuff. So it can be pretty hard to aim, just like his Q. It's pretty hard to use, especially because of the delay. Someone can change the angle that they're running, and you could just end up missing and then going way past.
Gutter ball.
And they could just loop back and then just completely you miss them completely. The interesting thing about Rolling Boulder is it goes cooldown from 16 seconds to 4. So its cooldown is reduced pretty heavily through levels. And that's the only thing, though, that changes when leveling it. And then Geomagnetic Grip. You can target something. I think it's the same thing. Friend, enemy. No, you can't target enemy, sorry. It's friend or stone, or one of your remnants. If you target an ally and pull them, I think it still stuns, right?
Just doesn't do damage.
It doesn't do damage. So you can pull an ally. So you can punch hook an ally, which is really useful.
Except it doesn't take skill.
You don't have to use it in skill, you just click. So you just grab an ally out of a bad situation and, continue on your merry way away from the enemy team where you won't die. Or you can use it to grab a stone. You can drop a stone, pull it, and it does damage and stuns. The stun duration increases per level, but the damage is flat. The only thing that changes per level is the stun. It goes from 1 in increments at 0.5, so it goes from 1 to 2.5.
And it's a 1400 range. I mean, that's
it's
insane for pulling allies out in stones, just saying. Yep.
Stone Remnant, and then his Magnetize, which has so much potential. It's crazy. His ult, when you cast it, it's a 300 radius around the hero. Gets affected by this move called Magnetize, which is damage over time, and has a 6-second duration. It does 50 damage, 75, 100 through the 3 levels. And then when you drop a Stone Remnant near someone that's magnetized, if it's within 300, the Remnant will not absorb it, but will also become magnetized. Will also gain the buff, and then in a 600 radius, anyone around that will gain Magnetize, and the duration will be refreshed. So if you have 5 remnants, you essentially could keep this on somebody for 30 seconds if you were able to follow them and keep dropping remnants behind or on top of them. There is another thing with Magnetize. It's if an enemy hero is affected by a silence or slow resulting from Rolling Boulder or Boulder Smash, all heroes that are magnetized share the effect. So if you magnetize the entire enemy team and then manage to only silence one of them, they all become silenced. Right? That should be how that works. I've had a really hard time, doing it, because keeping magnetized up on people and then trying to silence them or slow them or do something else is hard enough as it is.
They are magnetized, so they are connected in a way, I guess.
Yeah. So, you can silence an entire enemy team when you only hit one person with Boulder Smash. Or you can slow an entire enemy team by 80% for 2 seconds by only hitting one person.
If you don't miss your abilities.
Yeah. This hero has so much potential, and he's got such a high skill cap.
Well, that's actually something I think is really interesting, because when he and Oracle were released, that was something that I remember hearing a lot about. It's like, oh man, both of these heroes actually are huge finesse heroes. Obviously, we don't necessarily know how much Oracle is going to take, but both of those heroes' kits were very interesting, were very different from other heroes, and there was just a lot of finesse that's going to have to go into them. I mean, when you just look at just Boulder Smash, everything that's possible to do with that. Okay, I can smash an initiator into a fight. I can smash a low health target ally out of a fight. I can move an enemy away from our team. I can move an enemy towards our team. And then there's the fact that you can silence from forever away. You can be in the fog of war and be able to apply silence for 5 seconds to multiple people. Just that ability alone gives you so much potential control in fights. It's really ridiculous. I guess you could say his limiting factor is that he doesn't do a ton of burst damage. Obviously, Magnetize is about sustaining damage over time. But really, when you consider the amount of control that this hero is able to add to a team. He seems crazy strong if you're able to land the spells.
What I have to say about this hero is, with great power comes great responsibility. The reason I put it that way, while you level them up, a lot of his things cooldowns do go down substantially. Like you said, Rolling Boulder down to 4, Boulder Smash down to 10. I mean, that's not very long. His script's still 13 seconds, but since you have so many ways to use literally all three abilities have a lot of potential, except for his ultimate, of course, that you really have a lot of choices to make right in a split second. Like, I just literally played a game today where I had plenty of these dilemmas come up. Like, for example, do I want to stun with the grip, or do I want to save it to pull out one of my allies who gets caught by a CC? With the kick, like you said, do I want to kick away this hard carry that's destroying my support, or do I want to save it for a silence kick, perhaps, to stop a channel? I mean, there's just so many, like you said, things to do that it's a lot of on-the-fly decision-making, whereas, other heroes, it's like, oh, I just auto-attack and I win. This one is like, holy crap, I could do 20 different things and this fight could go a different way completely just from him, which also makes us love this hero so much because of his potential to really do some great things. Even as a support role, he can do all these wonderful things. It's quite a fantastic kit he's got together here.
And even after you master all of his abilities, like, there's a next step, which is mastering all of his abilities and then using the fewest amount of stone remnants possible so you have the most available to you. Like, you can drop a stone remnant, kick it towards somebody. As it flies past them, you can grab it to stun them, and then you can use that remnant as it's coming towards you to roll.
Mm-hmm.
And you can use...
That's the wombo combo.
You can use one stone remnant to do all that. Or you can use, 2 or 3, where you can take one, you can drop it behind him, you can stun him, and then you can kick it back at him, and after the stun ends, he'll be silenced, and then you can drop another one and roll. I mean, it's not as efficient. I mean, there's different combos. Do you want to silence and then stun? Do you want to stun and then silence? Do you want to slow him maybe and then stun him and then silence him? Or, I mean,
there's many parallel universes out there.
it's just his kit is so... I don't know.
It's really open-ended. I mean, I think that's the thing to take away from it. I mean, this is not click and stun, click and slow. This is you have a lot of potential. And
it's not Skeleton King.
It is not Skeleton King. I think he's just an insanely interesting hero, and the really nice thing too is when you even look at his stat gains. I mean, they're pretty nice. You get 2.9 strength per level, 2.4 int. I think a really important thing to point out about him is that all of his mana costs are static. So as the game progresses, it just gets easier to put on more potential damage and more of the CC. To be honest with you, this hero feels completely item independent, and it does not matter what you build. Obviously, you want to have your general stats. You want to be able to go magic immune if you're getting focused or whatever. But your just general item rules apply. There hardly feels like anything that you have to get on him. Arcane boots, and that's it. Maybe. I mean, do you guys have any items that you feel are core on this hero that you couldn't live without?
Are we talking middle or support?
Whichever you feel.
Depends on which role you're playing.
Because, I mean, there are some that I like in general, no matter what the role is. I really like Force Staff. I feel like the thing I want to say about this hero the most is I feel like he is the absolute most position-based hero in the game at the moment. I just feel like his positioning in a fight can make or break the difference of the fight. Obviously, for his ultimate to go off correctly, for him to stun or kick, to do everything he needs to either be facing a certain way or in a certain spot. And I feel like mobility is his best friend. So either getting more move speed or getting to the spot you want to be at. Even a Blink Dagger, I know you mentioned it briefly, but I even like the thought, maybe later in the game, getting something like a Blink Dagger, just for the fact that you can get in the fight where you need to be to drop your spells in a certain way. So I really love the idea of a Force Staff. Drums are really important. Boot choice, I generally like Arcane Boots, at least early, just because he's a mana whore early game. I mean, he'll eventually get to the point where you're like, oh, since you said it's static, you'll get the int from your levels and stuff and your other items that they'll be like unnecessary later on. But at least up front, it's really huge to have some kind of mana gain.
Early game, he's restricted by mana. Late game, he's restricted by his remnants.
Mm-hmm. And cooldowns. Well,
so stack cooldown reduction.
There it
is.
is.
His cooldowns are super duper short as
well,
it is.
most of them. Well, 2 of them. 2 of them are and 2 of them aren't. I mean, the 13 seconds is kind of long. Honestly, Rolling Boulder's the only real short one. I mean, 10 seconds on your kick is not that short. 13 on this grip is not that short. I mean, you'll probably get 2 or 3 off in a fight. So you got to really make them count. And obviously, the ultimate, your positioning is the most important thing possible there. The more heroes you get that off on to start, the easier it is to chain them off to other people and things.
Yeah, I mean, the one that I haven't gotten to try, but I think it's potentially a strong choice if you're able to get that much money. And like I said, I mean, he's pretty item independent. I mean, I know I've gotten to see Bonk play a couple of games, and I've liked seeing him pick up the BKB just because, obviously, if you're trying to lay on the damage with Magnetize, you're trying to space out the dropping of your remnants, so you'd like to stay alive in fights for as long as possible. I really like that choice. I like what you're saying with the drums, too. I mean, I feel any of those general goodwill items towards the rest of your team, I think are fantastic. I mean, even if you were to go Vlad's, because I love that item so much, to be able to give the mana regeneration, help you through that early game, and then once it's completed, you obviously have a pretty big boost to your overall damage output. So, I really like seeing this hero. I really like being able to play with him too.
I love Boulder with Stone Remnant combo. I think that is some of the awesomest thing. The fact that it goes over terrain initially, but the fact that you can start the Boulder and then drop the statue in front of you, I just love that little nuance right there, rather. It's just so cool, like the fact that you can decide in a split second, like, do I need this one to go farther than it's going now? Okay, I'm going to drop this Boulder. Like, you don't have to set up ahead of time. And just like you said, Kirk was saying earlier about the Wombo combo, it is hard as hell to pull off when you're new to this hero for sure. But with enough practice, there's only 2 abilities that destroy the remnants. So like he was saying, you really need to be efficient later on in fights. The roll obviously destroys it, and the Magnetize after 5 seconds destroys it. So even after they explode, you can still use them for 5 seconds if you need to, and then they'll go away. But yeah, just being really efficient, like you said, late game is the only thing you really need to worry about. And then making those split-second decisions, like I was saying in the beginning, about do I need to use it for saving or helping, like how to use your abilities is the other hard part about this hero.
Do you know if you can kick and pull totems and have your ult on them?
What do you mean?
Oh.
Like, when you drop a remnant, it starts pulsing Magnetize. Could you magnetize a thing and then just kick it through the whole team?
It just explodes once. It doesn't pulse.
Oh, I thought it pulsed.
No, it explodes once.
Oh, okay.
Becomes energized and explodes. So yeah, no, it's just one time kabang, and then it's inert for 5 seconds, and that's when you can use it until it goes away completely. That would be crazy. I like what you're thinking, but
I thought it sat there and pulsed for the duration of Magnetize.
It just looks like it pulses because Magnetize pulses, and you're probably getting everything mixed up. And honestly, I kind of lose track of things. Like, you say...
When I ult with him,
yeah,
no other moves matter but me dropping Stone Remnants.
Oh, yeah. You're so focused on dropping them, on following someone down, and just like, sup, dude? Like, I remember this one guy going a Radiance and just laughing at people as he magnetized and just ran after them. And they were like, what do I do? I'm dying. And it hurts. You know, and you were saying, like, oh, you technically can keep it up for 30 seconds on a hero. How are you going to be that efficient with your stones? Like, you're just dropping it like a madman at that point. I mean, yeah, I guess the potential's there, but you probably won't even need the... I mean, if you take 30 seconds to chase down a guy anyways, that's kind of a long time in the first place, so...
That's where the high skill cap comes in, man.
Like, they should probably be dead before the 30 seconds, I would assume.
But like what I was saying, like when I ult, like I lose like completely what I'm doing and just completely focus on getting magnetized on as many people as possible. Like if you have the ability to actually play it well, you drop a remnant here and there and then pull one in and kick it towards somebody and silence the whole team while continuing to drop remnants on their team. I mean, like, the skill cap is there. It's just I want to see a pro play it that can do it.
Yeah,
it's
for
so
sure.
much multitasking, and like your brain has to process so many things happening at once.
Yeah, and I mean the interesting thing about this hero too is we still don't know really what his final product is going to be like, because this is the fastest hero to be ported from Dota to Dota 2,
Yep.
as he was released in June of 2013 and then ported in November of 2013. And in the one patch that he's been alive, he has received a nerf. In the distance that the boulder smash on rocks works. So I'm curious to see what his final like captain's mode state feels like, because he does feel very strong right now. Like you were saying, Bonk, if there's like a professional behind the wheel, what are they going to be able to do with a hero like this that has so much potential?
I have a question for you, Jay. You don't use SmartCast, right?
No.
Or what's it called in Dota? All right. So if you want to kick a rock, how does that work? Do you actually have to click the rock?
Yes. You have to click the rock, because it's like you have to click any unit with it to kick them.
How about the pool? Do you actually have to click the rock?
Yep, you have to do all of it. If you don't have the smart thing on, that's what you have to do.
Because if you use SmartCast, and I think you can do this in normal cast, you just have to click near the rock. If you don't click a unit, but you click near the rock, I think it'll kick the rock.
I know, this is the interesting thing. I know when I use grip, I don't always click on the rock.
Yeah, I know you can
around it, and it generally will pull it.
And it'll pull the rock.
I don't know if that works with heroes or not. Maybe it's just a rock feature. I'm not sure. But
No.
But yeah, I definitely have to. I feel like I do for the smash, just because generally when you smash, there's usually more than one target near you. So I guess I haven't really tried with just like me and a rock, honestly. I'm usually around creeps or heroes or something. But
I've definitely kicked creeps multiple times when I drop a
gets
rock like right on top of the melee creep line, and I try to kick it, and I end up kicking one of the melee creeps, and it's like.
I have a suggestion for new players, because I learned this kind of through practice. If you use auto attack to last hit, turn it off for this hero, because I found so many times when I'm on the creep line and I'm like, okay, I want to go ahead and, I'll like put my remnant down, pull up towards me so I stun the enemies, and then I want to kick the rock back towards them. I usually kick it like 180 degrees the wrong way or something, and I'm just so pissed at myself because my hero in that time I'm going to kick it decides to try to auto attack a creep or something, and so he's turning whatever the hell direction he wants to go, and it's just throwing my whole thing off. So I would seriously suggest trying, if it's causing troubles for you and you use auto attack, turning it off and just working with, that way positioning, like I said, positioning is everything. So if you can make your hero face the right way, it's going to make a big difference.
My suggestion is don't have auto attack on, period.
Well, it definitely works for last hitting in middle lane, I believe. I really like it in middle lane last hitting, but that's all personal preference. There's still people who use legacy keys. I mean, to each their own. Whatever works best for you is what you're gonna do.
Auto attack, if you just ask me, causes so many problems. If you're trying to juke somebody,
it does. It surely
and you're a ranged hero,
yeah.
and you like attack somebody when you're trying to juke, and it's like, well, there goes your juke.
Well, if you're not bad and you stop a lot, it's fine.
Well, I mean, even if you just start the attack animation, it reveals you, doesn't it?
No.
No?
No, why would you? No particles flying towards them.
I don't know. I just don't like auto attack, bro.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It did some things to me in the past that
okay, well,
it's not proud of.
That's weird. I love this hero, though. I started out hating. I remember I texted BDLM when I first played games with him, and I was just like, I hate this hero. Like, I just strongly dislike this hero. And that was because, obviously, I didn't know what the hell he did. I was still figuring him out, and we always lost to him. If he was on the other team, we just lost, probably because of lack of knowledge. But, now that I've gotten to play him myself, I'm intrigued. And I just really like his potential. And I really, like you were saying, I can't wait until we see professionals and what they're going to do with it. There's no question in my mind this hero is going to make it into captain's mode. The question, Ember Spirit, that's a question mark for me. I'm not sure what level they'll take that, but I could absolutely see, just because of his versatility. He can go mid, he can go support. I mean, I just played him off lane. I mean, I'm not saying that's a great idea, but I'm just saying you could probably even play him there. So he's got plenty of potential, and I feel like he's going to definitely be someone to reckon with in pro games.
I could see Earth Spirit making it into pro games, but I can also see him not making it into pro games just because of how hard he is to play. Like, you can, like this is really prevalent in League too. This is just where I'm pulling this from. Like, if you have two heroes and they do about the same, except one's way easier to play, you're gonna play the easier one because it's easier to be like.
Yeah, you get to focus more on the map and other aspects of the game.
And it's just more easy. It's easier to be like consistent with them because it's easier to do. I could see the same thing happening with Earth Spirit. He's got a lot of versatility, but he's also like one of the harder heroes to play.
There's a lot of room for error because so much of his stuff is aimed.
Especially with the rolling boulder. Oh god, yeah.
So much of his stuff is like if you miss it, it's a big deal.
But if you hit it, you've won the fight. I mean, it definitely could make a difference.
And that's what I mean with consistency. It's like,
I would agree with that.
Like, it's easier to hit a Drow silence or a Death Prophet silence. It's just easy. It's just an area.
Oh, yeah.
Silenced. So.
But he's pretty forgiving with his cooldowns. That's the nice thing. You know, it's going to be about 10 seconds till you get to try it again. So, and if he needs to get out, he's got a great escape. You know, that is quite a nice escape. Or initiation. It's got really great purposes for both. So.
The problem with the pro scene is, though, you don't get the 10 seconds. If you miss it, your team's probably dead.
Yeah, well, that's potentially true. But I want to see how they, like you said, I want to see how they use it. And I think I'm not saying every game. That might not be true, but I know he's going to get used by some teams for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure people will play him.
I mean, you say that about heroes that are hard to use, but Invoker for the longest time was easily a super popular pick, and you know, you talk about burden of knowledge. I mean, that hero is literally, you have to be on point with your casting and your ability to change abilities really quickly and target them. I mean, I think these people have it in them to learn this hero. And this is what I was talking about BDL prior, that a lot of these Dota 2 pros probably have little to no experience with this hero just because they've been so focused on Dota 2, they're not going back to War 3 and playing the Dota 1 version. So, you know, they're all pretty fresh with this hero as well. So there's going to be a lot to learn. And we don't know how long Captain Mode's going to take. I can't remember how long it took for, like, Timber and Skywrath to come in. But it's probably going to be at least a month or two, I would say, of solid practice and seeing how he is before he gets into CM or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still going to take a while because, you know, like I said, he hasn't even been around in, you know, Dota 1 a long time. So it's really, I think, hard to understand how, you know, he's going to be interacting with a lot of these heroes. And, you know, even interacting with a lot of these heroes that aren't even in the Dota 2 pool yet. But, I mean, unless you guys have some other crazy stuff to discuss with the Earth Spirit, we've been going pretty hard for a while. Any closing thoughts, gentlemen, about either of these heroes, really?
Go play them. Even if you're scared or you're intimidated, I sucked at Earth Spirit for sure for my first couple of games, and you only get better as you learn it. And you know, if you're really, really worried about messing up for your team, go play a bot game and just try out. In fact, I would strongly suggest playing a bot game, especially for Earth Spirit, because you are going to be like, what is going on with these things? What am I doing? And just kind of get a grasp for it, and then seriously try them out, because Earth Spirit I know is a lot of fun. Ember Spirit is pretty fun too, and just see what you think and let us know.
I also have something to say. Earth Spirit's not for everybody. So
that's very true.
Don't just keep playing him.
If you play Skeleton King and Sven every game, you're not going to like Earth Spirit, I hate to tell you.
If you're consistently playing Earth Spirit and not doing well, you should probably stop.
Try harder.
It's not easy.
Do a montage.
Ooh. But yeah, I would, you know, round of applause for a new hero descriptor, Mr. Bonk.
Yeah.
It's been great to have you back, sir. It's been a long time since you've been here. Thank you for.
It's a pleasure to have you here in my basement.
Oh, I feel like that's not the first time you've said that.
Well,
that's strange.
Anyway, if you have do you have a Twitch channel or any social media you'd like to plug, good sir?
No,
People can find you at.
I don't have much of anything.
All right, he's got nothing.
Stream. I have a stream, but I don't really use it, so I'm not gonna burden everybody.
Well, there you go. You heard it from the horse's mouth. Stalk him in real life. That's where he prefers
That's right.
it.
Come find me. You know what my basement looks like.
That's a good start.
And of course, you can find myself, BLM, and J4Y at youtube.com/Dota On Demand, facebook.com/Dota On Demand, any of the .com/Dota On Demand, as well as on Stitcher if you'd like to download it. Again, guys, go out there, play these heroes, have fun with them. We'll see you next week.